Let's go back to the passage in Luke then, and we'll look at it more closely. And verse 42. And it says, he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. I want just to consider it for a little while, because it's quite an incredible thing, what he said. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but imagine being nailed up to a wooden cross, and on the next cross to you is someone who's been nailed up also. And the cross is stuck in the ground, and the agony and the sweat of the terrible thing. And he's watched Jesus being scourged. He's seen a crown of thorns thrust upon his head. He's heard the multitudes mocking him. He's heard everyone rejecting him. And every circumstance seems to point to the fact that Jesus Christ is a failure and a fraud. Everything seems to point against Jesus being king. No one believed in him. Even his very friends deserted him at this point. And yet that thief looked at the Christ of God next to him and said, Lord, remember me. He saw through everything. He saw beyond. And he looked at that man who was in total defeat. And at this point, it was before darkness had covered the earth. It was before the earthquakes. It was before the graves yielded up their dead. It was before Christ had cried, it is finished. And he said, Lord, remember me. That seems an amazing thing, doesn't it? To actually say, Lord, remember me. I mean, how was Jesus showing forth that he had power over death? He wasn't. In fact, at this point of time, Jesus was probably at his most weak, seemingly most defeated. And yet that one thief had faith to say, Lord, remember me. I wonder how he got it. Have you ever thought about that? And just what made him say, Lord, remember me? I mean, on what basis did he recognize Christ? I mean, how did he know that he had the ability to save? Have you ever thought about it? No, you just read the story and thought, well, one died on either side, two people, and they railed at him, and that was it. Well, let's start at the beginning and we'll go through and see how it operates. First of all, if you go with me down into, let me see, Matthew. Let's go back to Matthew first, where there's the stories. Matthew chapter 27, I think it is. And if you look with me into verse 41, or let's take it verse 39. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, and notice it was the thieves, both of them, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. How about that? The thieves actually started from the point where everyone else was, mocking and cursing. If you're the Son of God, save it. Go on, if God's going to have you, get down, save yourself. They get worse. And if you look in Luke 23, back in Luke 23, verse 39, and one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. One of them, not the thief that said, Lord, remember me when they come into thy kingdom, but the other one said, if you're the Christ, save yourself and us. Get me out of this sticky situation. Interesting. Both mocking. So both started off, not one with a better condition than the other, they both started off mocking. You'd all agree with that. Both throwing things in his teeth, saying, whoa, look at you. And then you'll see a transformation. Now we all start that way. How many people, when they heard about Christianity and Christ, mocked when they first heard? Go on, put up your hands. I did. Didn't you? When you first heard about things of God, were you always a great believer? How many thought, well, it's ridiculous. So I'm too intellectual for that. Yeah. You know, it's stupid. I mean, how can he have done anything dying 2,000 years ago?